So, okay. No problem. So this is a session on, dyslexia, special educational needs, focusing mostly on this. And some of you, I know that did an online course about dyslexia. So we'll see how much you remember and what else I could potentially add to it. All right, let's see whether this works. Yeah, okay. So, first things first, there's a number for you. Ooh, very good number. But this is actually the number of diagnosed dyslexic students in the European Union. It was before Brexit. But yeah, it's quite a high number, which also means that potentially you're going to get a student sooner or later who shows symptoms of dyslexia. I will have to. Yes. All right. So, first things first, I have an adult dyslexia checklist for you, so you can see whether or not you show symptoms of dyslexia. I don't know, maybe that could also help you with some of the symptoms. Now, in terms of adults, normally it's just dyslexia remnant symptoms. So it means that adults, by the time they grew up and went through their education, have already kind of developed some sort of strategies to deal with dyslexia. So, could you quickly do the test? Okay, this is a generic test. There are different variations. Yeah, this one is kind of nicely put together. Copyrights on the other side, and really you just have to read the questions and answer how often these things happen to you. Your dyslexia test. Okay. So the only thing that you need to do is add up your scores, and then on the other side you will find the actual explanation.
I've got one for you. Can you believe I don't have any writing in this?
So, this is just an approximation. It means that it won't be actually telling you whether you're 100% had dyslexia or showed more severe symptoms of dyslexia earlier on or not. But it's kind of interesting in terms of the questions, especially because some of them that we kind of associate with dyslexia are not necessarily the ones that show whether the person has dyslexia or not. For example, directions, left and right. Apparently that's more automatics, and that's for women to mix up, and it has nothing to do with, not necessarily with dyslexic, adults or children. Right, you've got your score, and I won't be asking about it. Yeah, that's for you. However, let me see. I've got a Kahoot for you, okay? So instead of me telling you what dyslexia is, I've got a series of questions. And although I'm sorry about that. I do not have the outline of the lesson, but everything I'm doing today and everything I present is presented in a dyslexia-friendly way. Okay? So I'm using Prezi because it's a Zoom tool, and your dyslexic student is more likely to be able to follow something that is zooming in and out, that is more spatial than, for example, a proper PowerPoint that is just slide by slide, kind of carrying on. So, Kahoot was designed by a dyslexic adult, actually. And he did it because he never could have the time to read through the sentences and the options. And that's why we're doing a Kahoot, obviously. So, do you have mobile devices with which you could on Kahoot.it. Can you share? I'm very happy to. Yeah?
Yeah, well,
Can I share it with you?
Yeah, this is the first time I've actually played one. I've played loads of them. Yeah, I haven't actually played one.
Okay.
right, what do you have to do then?
So, you go to kahoot.it. That's okay. There are 14 questions. I'm going to stop after each and every one and explain why, the reason for the answer. So, dyslexia is disability, disorder, cognitive disorder, or specific learning difference. Okay, so, well done. Dyslexia is specific learning difference. It is not a disorder, and it is not a disability or a cognitive disorder. The reason for
negative prefixes.
oh yeah, true. NLP or positive way of expressing myself. But the reason for this is that before, earlier, it was actually considered a disability, unfortunately. And then a disorder. However, it has to do with the way the brain receives whatever input it's given and how it kind of processes it and then formulates a response. And it has to do more where the inputs arrive and how long it takes for that kind of, sound or visual input to get to the right place and be deciphered. So it is a specific learning difference. Ooh, look at that. All right. Dyslexia might occur due to, what would be the reasons? All right, two correct answers. It can be due to asymmetry of the brain hemispheres, or because of it is simply just genetically inherited. Now, it also means that there are different kind of severities of dyslexia. Some might have like mild dyslexia, and others are really severe cases. Well, asymmetry of the brain hemispheres can occur, for example, trauma during pregnancy or smoking, alcohol consumption, and later on, parents.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no, another reason to blame the mothers. Quick, cover your tummy. Shield your child's ears.
And then actually during the child's development, you can see if the child, for example, skips different developmental phases, like the army crawling to the proper normal crawling on all fours.
Crawl.
Then these are kind of symptoms that there is something kind of there are different stages of development, brain's development, and could be, symptomatic of dyslexia later on. It is also good to kind of look out for these, because if dyslexia symptoms are kind of help mitigated, treated early on, it's likely to be more successful, for children to be dealing with it. Okay, well, Cat and Evelyn still in the lead. So, here we go. Right, so, can be mitigated with, your help, creating the proper kind of materials and giving support, or worsened. And normally it has to do with performance anxiety, and having like a lower self-esteem. So that's why your role as a teacher is very important in the classroom.
I signed a petition a couple of weeks ago on change.org. It was generated by a Spanish mother who's also a teacher, and in external exams, kids are still penalised for making spelling mistakes. When they're dyslexic, they still lose points.
Really?
Yeah, officially. So it was a petition to the Ministry of Education to recognise dyslexia as being,
it is
unbelievable.
It is quite strange. Because, for example, in Hungary, the case is that once diagnosed dyslexic, they have to be given all the support, extra time, word processor, and their orthography is not marked ever. They're not given points, which kind of makes sense. And also during language exams, if it's a bilingual exam, they don't have to do translation, because then swapping in between languages is basically impossible. So they kind of can't cope with that, or very difficult. Alright, so another one, dyslexia is a reading problem, a memory problem, a writing problem, or a phonological problem. Processing problem, which means that the perception of basically strings of sounds or letters has to be processed and then given certain response, and the manipulation of the languages with what they have a problem. So the rest, well, they kind of come along, or kind of it brings about the problem that they are slower when they are reading, or they have to just kind of syllabify every single word, read it letter by letter, and then try and put together the meaning. We'll talk about the memory problem, so to say, how it affects their short and long-term memory in general. Alright, so these are true or false questions. Dyslexic learners see words in first. Why not see words on Alright. So
We're not too very well.
it is false, and the reason for this is exactly that it's not actually the perception, but the manipulation of the language that they have problems with. So when they look at a word, and that was, there's a brilliant TED video, I'm not sure we're going to have time for, but yeah, it's a TED video. So the example was, if you look at cat, the letters cat, C-A-T, and you say, alright, now take away C, your average dyslexic student might not be able to identify that the letters that are there are at. So it's the actual kind of manipulation, how you put the words together, and then what they mean and how the meaning changes. And that's what they're going to have a problem with. But not actually the perception. Okay. Alright, excellent. So, this was an easy one. dyslexic people are likely to remember visual input better because actually the information they try and first process in the right brain hemisphere, and then they kind of pass it on to wherever it should be, where the phonological processing kind of center is. And that's why it takes longer for them to read than to visualize something and then be able to give correct responses or answers.
Isn't that sort of true with everybody? They've all got visual memories.
No,
80%.
no.
No.
It is, well, it is likely that there are going to be more visual learners, for example, but every single dyslexic student probably will have a different set of symptoms. And some of them won't be able to actually perceive whatever sounds they hear, so they won't be able to decipher actual spoken words, while others have problems with reading because it starts moving for them because it's two-dimensional, so it kind of comes out of space and turns into a three-dimensional image. And then others will have problems with the retention of information, and that's why relearning and overlearning is going to be very important for them. So, here we go. Russians are never dyslexic. Okay, obviously it's false. Although the language itself is a lot more visual. Okay, so they are using symbols rather than letters. In theory, it is obviously easier for them to kind of read and identify those letters and actually write them down. But because it is a manipulation of the language, obviously there are going to be dyslexic cases.
Does that happen with the Greeks as well? Because they use a language with the Cyrillic alphabet because it's more visual. That they have a similar advantage.
Does that mean Chinese and Japanese? There are fewer.
Yes. No, it's not that there are fewer, but for them that aspect is easier. So as long as, because the brains kind of perceive and understand better images, even if you use, with your dyslexia student, you write in block capitals are perceived by the brain as an image. So they are more likely to actually remember the vocabulary, for example, than using the normal kind of alphabet in like the lowercase. Here, when it comes to kind of conjugation, inflection, and putting sentences together, dyslexic symptoms are going to come up again.
Do you know this fascination Spanish schools have with writing, what's it called, the joined up writing?
Cursive.
Does
Yeah.
that create more problems then?
Yes, definitely. Because wherever there are curves, yes, then it's more difficult to actually see the letters.
But isn't like the cursive script that they're actually meant to sort of guide your eyes? That's like the
sans serif, sans serif fonts,
the serif little bits on the fonts. It's meant to be able to be easier to read.
That's the serif.
Guides your eyes for
for a non-dyslexic person, probably.
Yeah.
But for a dyslexic,
as a symbol, it's been something being added to, so it's kind of, it would logically create more confusion.
Distorting the symbol, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, for example, when we talk about accommodation of these students, it is very important for you to use dyslexia-friendly font, sans serif. Because the ones that have the curvy bits are the serifs, yeah? So you have to kind of take that away. Arial is
Arial,
one
yeah.
That's kind of rock solid. But there's a dyslexia font that we unfortunately don't have here. We could, because it's, for other students, it does not matter, but for a dyslexic student who could easily be in your classroom, as they say actually 1 in 5 students are showing symptoms of dyslexia, it can be very, very beneficial.
Can I ask you as well, so if there isn't a problem with symbols, then it's of vital importance to teach pronunciation, isn't it? To make that an explicit part of the class.
To teach explicitly actually is very important, and not just pronunciation, but the connection between orthography and pronunciation.
Yeah, showing the combinations, spelling combinations for each sound, like a diphthong, the O, for example.
Yeah, and it is actually one of the techniques. This is the first part of the 3 dyslexia kind of sessions that I did, and one deals with this, that it is to kind of teach them in a multi-sensory way which syllables, go with what sounds, and then practice it, writing it down and saying it, and then actually recognizing it again, and then repeating over and over again. If it's a severe case of dyslexia. Alright, so here's another one. If someone's not dyslexic in their mother tongue, they won't be dyslexic in their other
difficult one.
Okay, so it is quite interesting, but
And then they let another one, but they were secretly on.
But if your first language is Chinese and then you learn, I don't know,
Yeah.
Dutch or something.
Like a simple
obviously
more visual language.
It
and then
depends.
you learn,
because it is kind of the processing of the language, and normally languages have like a completely different kind of innate logic, and how they are built up, and how they are kind of the words are formed, and how the sentence is structured. It will make a big difference, and it's very likely that those that had like dormant symptoms will develop symptoms of dyslexia in a second language. It is how it is. So, for example, like take my case, Hungarian. We conjugate. We have all the cases. We have like this, grammar that is like magic. No one understands how it works, and then you start learning English, which is quite structured. Obviously, those who had no problem with Hungarian will develop symptoms in English, especially because of the spelling. So, talking about this, what do you think? Dyslexic people are better able to learn Italian than
Or Spanish as well.
or Spanish, yeah. Why do you think this is so? Why do you think this is
phonetic.
Yeah, it sounds like it looks.
Yeah. So basically we call it transferent orthography, yeah? And for a dyslexic learner, it's going to be easier to learn a language that has transferent orthography than
What's it
a
called?
non-transferent one.
Transparent.
Transparent.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
So it's just
Transparent.
whatever you hear is whatever you write
Yeah,
down.
well, the Spanish often say about the English language. So you know,
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
So what's English then?
Moved into.
Well, it's a non-transparent language.
When you've got a sound like O-U-G-H that can be pronounced 8 different ways in English.
For example.
Chop. Yeah,
So it's fairly likely then we would come across students studying English, Spanish students studying English, who may never have been diagnosed with dyslexia, but
Yeah.
through studying English they might be
Yeah,
diagnosed with it.
that's
They might have had
quite
some
possible.
problems with Spanish, but they have a lot more with English.
Yeah. That's
It's
quite
so
likely.
hard though.
So it's important that we know about it.
I think so. All right, so another riddle for you. Russian or French? Yeah. Knowing all of this. Yes. Partly because of the Cyrillic alphabet, which is more visual, and although they conjugate in that, they have cases, it's likely to be easier for a dyslexic student than actually learning French, which is quite harsh in terms of pronunciation, orthography, and then they also have cases and conjugation, etc. Alright, I think I've got, another language learning related question. Excellent. So that's true. Okay, the third language, fourth, fifth, whatever, is going to be always easier than the first, second language that they kind of tried to learn.
Why is that? Is it because they develop like strategies, coping strategies, or?
Partly, and partly because of the kind of understanding the logic of a foreign language and helps them, kind of to develop strategies.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Exposure.
it is exposure, but it is really that, like, knowing that a lot of different language works with different logic and understanding that basically just helps with the third one. And normally they don't really struggle with the third language or the second, foreign language that they are learning, which is quite interesting, but also very encouraging for them. All right, what about this one? Find it difficult to understand grammatical concepts. It is true. So here it's going to be very important for you to teach grammar in an explicit way. So guided discovery and heuristic learning is not going to work with a dyslexic student. They have to be told how things work and then practiced and shown a lot of examples and having the possibility to kind of overlearn and go back and revise and to actually understand explicitly why certain things are, like that in a foreign language. So let's do the next one. What do you think about this one? So they are not able to give correct answers. They process data differently. Okay, so this is false.
We got that right.
And the reason is that they are able to give the correct answers. What they need is time. They need time, and they need you to be patient and just wait. And it's difficult. It's difficult even when it's just, your average class and you're like, so what's the answer to this question? And you go, right. So you have to give extra time and actually make the other students understand that they need to be just patient and wait for people to answer whenever they feel like we're ready. And then they are going to be able to give you the correct answer, but they need extra time, okay? And I think this is the last one. Are they more intuitive, creative, with genuine solutions? Apparently they are, okay? So that's often true. Because they kind of think out of the box, they don't follow the learning patterns, they have different strategies, and they are very visual, and they process everything on a creative side. So they say that actually they are very creative, and sometimes it's just for you, wait for the development of the answer, or how they elaborate their answers, and you will see that they have like a real, genuine solution to problems that you might have not thought about. Okay. So let's see. Well, everyone did really well.
Can we have a congratulations to the leaders, please?
No, you understand.
Not Shergar.
Okay, so let's go back to the presentation.
Top 5.
Let's see. I will also... Well, it's on you. I want us to do a little experiment, okay? So I'm going to show you a text, and I would like you to copy the text using your non-dominant hand.
This might be even more difficult if we're going to do this together with one pen.
Me and Garth are going to, because we're the winners, we're going to do it together with our two non-dominant hands.
I might be able to give you a pencil.
Oh, thank you.
What do you want to do in the third one?
There you go. So, change every A to an E and write every E as its mirror image. Okay, so A's to E's and E's to mirror image. And let me see. Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm gonna, no worries. So there you go. Here's your text.
All of it.
Just
think we're going to get
start copying the text.
It's meant to be
What?
difficult.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am, but what's the instruction again?
Copy the text using your non-dominant hand, changing every A to an E and E to its mirror image.
You can take as much time as you like to see.
bird wrote it.
Spoiler.
Yes, it's Friday. All right. So let's see. How far did you get?
The dev of development.
I got
I
to
got
listen to
vowels.
Okay. So obviously this is not your normal writing speed. I'm guessing. Can you read your handwriting? Is it really neat and tidy?
Mine's quite tidy,
Oh,
apparently.
fantastic. So this is what your dyslexic student is going to be experiencing on a daily basis.
Oh.
Okay? And that's actually the speed. And I don't know, do you feel frustrated?
Yeah.
But it's funny as you do it though, it's like, I was looking at the involves and I thought, and I got to that point and I realised that I needed a strategy to deal with this. And like, well, okay, E to an A, it's like involve us, and then I was able to write quicker. So what you were saying before about developing a strategy, I'm starting to see you can't do it normally, so you need to develop other ways of
Definitely.
coping, basically.
But then also, do you know what you were writing then? Because
Oh, no,
they
most
most probably
We didn't process it.
Yeah.
Just
we
following
weren't
the
thinking about meaning.
And then the third problem is they go home and you gave them homework and all the things that they wrote down and they really tried, as it normally happens, and they go home and they won't be able to read it because it's just, you know, it's just
Words on a page.
not very neat. So, all right, what can you do about this? Well, luckily, there are a lot of things. So, first things first, breathe. Now, I brought to you some exercises that we're going to do together, okay? Different breathing techniques that can help your students. And as normally, dyslexia comes with ADD, so attention deficit, hyperactivity, or even like the autism spectrum disorder, some variant of it, or other DISs, which is, for example, dyscalculia, and they mix up numbers, or dyspraxia when they can't really control motor movement. So these things help. So I would like you to stand up. And the first one is synchronized brain hemispheres. As there is a difference between the brain hemispheres, obviously these things. So you can help them if you synchronize the brain hemispheres. It's very simple. First, you just hold your right hand up, yeah, with your index finger, and you have to draw a lazy 8, so a number 8 lying down in the air 3 times, and just follow the movement of your finger. And once it's done 3 times, repeat it with your left hand. The same direction though. Try not change the direction how you're drawing it. And once you've done it 3 times, you can do it with both hands. Alright, so it's quite simple, and normally primary students will love it. Senior students will actually be interested, but what happens is that they will be able to be better able to concentrate and process information. Okay?
Did you do that at the beginning?
Yeah,
Class.
you do that at the beginning of the class. Also, after a while, you can tell them to actually breathe, because they will concentrate and not breathe. It happens with breathing, so just like, just go with the flow and breathe, and that helps. The next one, you will need some
Do you
space.
think that's something that we should be doing like really at the beginning of every class?
I would.
Most levels.
Yes, especially if you have a diagnosed dyslexic student, it will help them.
They don't want to say.
For example,
They're all on.
The parents won't.
No, but they're all given a questionnaire to do the academic year or the summer course, but they don't feel the need to tell you. And then if it comes to parents' night saying, of course they are dyslexic, and you go, she's telling me now.
Alright, so for this one, you just have to sit down in your chair. It's called the mariner's knot. Yeah? The mariner's knot. for anxious, hyperactive, or stressed students, but it is actually does miracles with a dyslexic student. And the way we discovered it, my mom is a primary teacher and my sister is heavily dyslexic and she couldn't concentrate and she was also hyperactive. And then at some point she just went, all right, so let's try this. And she learned about it. And then from then on, she could actually work a little bit every afternoon on the homework. So it was like a real breakthrough. So put your left ankle on your right knee. Okay. And then your right palm on your, did I say left? Yeah, on your left ankle. And your left hand on the left foot. Okay. So what you need to do is just breathe. And the breathing should be diaphragmatic breathing. Now, if you don't know how to do that, you just breathe into the belly. Yeah? The important thing is, shallow breathing is actually when you breathe up here with your lungs here, staying with the air kind of held here, it triggers anxiety. When you breathe down here, it relaxes you. Now this, at the same time, synchronizes brain hemispheres and actually calms real kind of hyperactive students down. And once it's done, because you always have to balance it out, you have to repeat it on the other side. Okay? If they can't focus, they can make like a little buzzing noise, and it actually kind of triggers some sort of meditative state as well. So it's even more efficient, and it's easier for them because they are like trying to spit out a little bee that they swallowed in their bellies, and it helps. Okay? And then you repeat. So it's the right ankle on the left knee, and then you hold it with your opposite. So the left arm, left hand, and then on your foot, you put your right hand. And breathe. But this position actually will help you immediately if you can feel it, if you're breathing somewhere here. Like it's automatic. Shoulders.
It's doing that.
I find that quite difficult. I've got a tight hamstring.
Tight everything. Alright.
Let's do some yoga.
Oh, yeah.
I have done with like yoga in class, like just the first. So there's a first stretch of the Ashtanga, which is kind of like sort of just go up and then down and then back up.
And it
It's probably the same because you do the same kind of breathing, don't you?
Yeah.
It's that diaphragmatic.
Just stretching. I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
I get students who look like they're falling asleep just to stretch, or shake out or something.
Yeah.
It helps as well. There's another one, which very politically, incorrectly we call in Hungary the Indian jump, but it helps with cross-lateralization. It's when you do the jump with your opposite arms and legs, and you just go like this. With little ones, it's quite easy because they can jump around, and immediately it kind of, gets them ready for the next task. So that's an easy one. And there's neck stretching. Now this is good for those kids who find it difficult to communicate or to actually just speak up and they are anxious about it and they're nervous. What you do is first you pull your shoulders up to your ears or close, okay, as much as you can. And then you drop your chin to your chest, and then you just turn your head to left and right. You do it 3 times to both sides. And then you lift your head and let the shoulders drop and breathe out. And you repeat this a couple of times. It will help them to be more vocal and verbalize their thoughts.
Relaxes these muscles, right?
Yes. And also kind of takes away the anxiety from the chest, because that's another easy one. Like you just have to kind of, massage your.
Well, it's like there's a new form of therapy in psychology called MDR, and it's about processing the both sides of the brain. And one of the relaxation techniques is like something similar. Left side, right side, left side. You think of somewhere you want to be that you feel safe, and then you kind of tap your chest equally like that. And then sometimes they use like noises on headphones, so you're activating both sides. apparently it helps people.
It also, but there are some glands here that kind of start working once you're grown up, but still, when you're anxious, they're kind of pressed or kind of compressed, and this relaxes those glands, and that's why it kind of comes, triggers this nice feeling. Okay, because
Do you know what the name of the glands are?
I forgot. I'm going to look it up because I forgot.
So only for adults, so kids don't have it.
Yeah, no, kids have it, adults don't have it.
Oh.
But it's still there, but it's not kind of functioning anymore.
Kids have it, not adults.
Pituitary.
Hypothalamus. That's in your brain.
That's,
Yeah.
that's thyroid, isn't it?
Thyroid is here. Hypothalamus is in your brain. Connected to
Yeah, they're
brain
connected.
hemispheres, and then pituitary gland is also
Right, yeah.
here, inside. But I forgot this one, but I'm going to look it up. Anyhow, there is a brain booster as well, okay? And this is for your, so this is something that they use as treatment for people who suffer from dementia or Alzheimer's disease or all sorts of kind of, they're, how do you say that nicely? Yeah, they are, different kind of diseases that stop them from being able to properly use their kind of mental functions. So apparently this works miracles, and with an average person, it could actually turn you into a genius. So
That's right.
I would like you to do it with me, okay? So the first step is you have to, I'm not going to be doing it because I'm going to be talking, but you have to press the tip of your tongue to your palate. Okay. And then you stand up, round, and then you hold with your left thumb and index finger, left thumb and index finger, the right earlobe, but in a way that your thumb is at the back and your index finger is in the front, and then you do the same with the other hand, so thumb behind, index finger forward. Yeah, you stand in the kind of little shoulder width stance, and then you just breathe in, and as you breathe out, you just lower your bum towards your heels, and then you breathe in and stand up.
With your tongue on your palate all the time.
All the time. Okay, you don't have to kind of carry on, but this is what you do. It's actually quite nice. It gives you a lot of energy. You will feel it. Normally we do 7 to 14 repetitions, not more than 14, because it's really powerful. So it will probably just make you hyperactive. I don't know whether you can feel it, but it kind of creates like a nice warm fuzzy feeling here, and then it kind of makes you really powerful, and it's very good for your brain. And apparently they are making really, having groundbreaking success with all these people who suffer from mental illness. So, you can try this with your dyslexic student, it will help, especially because they normally have problems with memory. And it is, so they have difficulty kind of putting things in the long-term memory, and also short-term memory is really short for them, so they don't have the buffer to work with information that can be thrown at them and immediately kind of put it in working memory and try and work with it, so they tend to forget things. That's why if you have a dyslexic student in your classroom, please do allow them to ask as many times as they want to what they need to do, how to do it, and give them kind of structured help. Scaffolding is going to be very important, because then they have a standing chance to actually, learn things in your classroom. Again, it depends on the severity of the case. Right, I've got some case studies because I think it's easier to kind of relate to the problems and identify what we need to do. There are different ones. Could you just read your case study and then discuss it with your partner, what you read about and what problems you could identify? Just, can you discuss it with your partner? What case study you had?
One.
Yeah.
So,
Well motivated but shy.
Shall I read it to you?
Yeah.
All right. James came from a low middle class background and supportive parents. He was a well motivated but shy boy who made every effort to please his teachers. It's rather on reflection to tell that James was struggling in nursery rhymes and had never really managed to value them. He's been a little uncoordinated, when James was given in school for 2 months, he was likely to fall behind his classmates. He started to underperform in London Police. After accommodating his needs, his self-esteem and motivation, his managing his reading skills were developing, and he was excelling at hard work. Spelling and writing skills remained poor, but the structure of work also remained important. Learning and remembering vocabulary of his chosen language in secondary school was work ethic, as was the construction of sentences and speaking pronunciation was reasonable, but occasionally James substituted the wrong word. Reading was hesitant and there was automaticity.
automaticity in reading is when you understand from very early.
It's when
you go.
Yeah, you
This
basically have
also
You have an idea, it's triggered by what's in language.
It's just simply that you don't have to read what's down, like syllable or
okay.
basically have that
You recognise the word as a word.
yeah, or you just read it syllable by syllable, but you don't have to spend time with it and then you move on to the next one and you can compile meaning,
She didn't do it.
like in the actual sentences and then the paragraphs in the text. So that's like basically for you it's automatic, so you don't see a film in your head.
Yeah.
It's not, so they never get to the
It's
stage.
grappling with the parts of the
I
word.
don't have that pressure.
She saw it as kind of
It's fine with the different elements.
Yeah, basically they're fighting the actual word level.
Audiobooks.
And it was the
That could work, it depends, because some
some
dyslexic students, for example,
patterns,
compensate, like the brain compensate for this academic subject.
So reading handwriting,
Some actually get really good at reading, and then others
spelling,
the
can't
speech.
compare
the reading, writing, spelling,
Whenever
memory.
you're assessing is going to be